You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 257 of Teach Better Talk podcast. My name is Ray Heward, and yes, right before this podcast episode, I was discussing getting your hair cut and colored with Jeff Gargis, who's also present for this episode.
I noticed that you got your hair cut and colored, and it looks great.
I'm not sure that's what happened.
Lighter ends and tips, it looks great.
I'm just saying, I
can totally tell it's been washed recently. That's great to see as well, so congrats.
Guys, don't forget that if you want to see our beautiful faces, you can actually listen to the podcast wherever you love to listen to podcasts, but you can watch the beginning of every episode by going over to the Teach Better Team YouTube channel. So, hi everyone. Right. Good to see you.
You can see Ray's really, really big hoop earring.
Whoa, I'm feeling a lot of hatred in this episode, and this episode was full of goodness. And what's your problem?
I didn't say ugly or bad. I just said really big. You're rocking them.
I do love...
Got your new hair, and you're like, I'm going to call attention to my new hair by wearing these hoop earrings. I like it. You're working it. It's making sense.
You know, I really just try and look good because it just comes so naturally to me that I just like radiate beauty. So I know it's so hard for you. So.
Well, yeah, that's what makes it easier for you. Like we're side by side right now on the screen. It's like you already jump up a couple points because I don't know what points and what system that is, but because I'm on this side. So
I feel like we're ruining an episode that I really want our listeners to get like to the guest, but I did want to discuss something. Should we just cut it off here and just get straight to Sarah, or what's our plan?
What do you want to discuss? We can discuss. What do you want to discuss?
I did just want to remind our listeners that Focus on the Focus series is starting soon because we are in the tail end of our Building a Grid series, which is where Chad has been live every Tuesday for about like 8 weeks. There's
another I think there's another
2 or 3. Yeah.
Tomorrow when this comes out, and then the next week will be the last 2 grid.
I think the grid goes through the 13th.
This episode comes out on the 5th, so it'll be
the 7th and the 13th.
And then
whatever.
The 6th.
I don't know, friends. All I'm saying
is, for Chad.
Grid is ending. Those are on Tuesday nights, and don't forget, when that series ends, it will be in the Academy. So in case you missed any of them, obviously you can find all the videos saved on where they stream, like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And YouTube probably the easiest.
All together in the Academy is super easy to go get.
That will be way easier when they're all done. However, Focus on the Focus series is starting up. They overlap, I think, by a week. And Dave and Caitlin are doing a deep dive, a 5-part series on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern, dedicating some serious time to talking grading and assessment.
Serious time. Each week, each Wednesday, how long, what's the time slot? Is it an hour?
Oh, it's going to be at least an hour.
Because they're going to need more than that.
I know. I've been trying to tell them, Jeff, Dave and Caitlin could literally talk for hours on this topic. Yeah. But we're trying to get them to limit to an hour. We will be sharing their content everywhere, but specifically their dialogue will stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And that will also, at the end of the series at mid-May, it will be in the Academy. But we'd love for you guys to participate live because they are going to be doing challenges and activities that you are going to want to participate in live. So you can ask questions and participate in the follow-up. So it's going to be
I'm telling you, when Dave and Caitlin do this, it's not scripted. So your questions and your comments will guide their conversation, and so you can get in there with them via the comments and stuff, and really, engage and get their thought patterns going the way that you want them to go, so that it has a direct impact on your instruction and your practices. So
absolutely.
Do that for sure.
So excited. So just as a reminder for you guys, this starts on the 7th of April. It's a Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern. They're about 1 hour long, and it will be every single Wednesday, the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, the 28th of April. And then they're actually taking a week off the first week of May because we have so many fun activities going on for Teacher Appreciation Week. But we didn't tell you that, so you didn't hear it here. And then their last one is the second week of May, which is the 12th. That will be their last one, focused on grading, feedback, and assessment. So I cannot wait for that series to air.
I love it. All right, so we're super excited about this episode because, well, one, it's just a good episode. What? I'm like getting ready to go, and you're going to stop me. She's got her finger up if you can't see.
I know, I'm so sorry. I really didn't want to interrupt what you were sharing, except I did want to.
Yes, you did.
But I wanted to remind everybody, we just gave you a lot of dates and information. And if you're in your car or doing a workout and don't have a pen where you're like jotting this all down in your calendar, we do have a Teach Better events calendar that if you can grab at teachbetter.com/events calendar. And then if you add that to your Google Calendar, you'll get notified when we're live and when we have cool events. So teachbetter.com/events calendar has all the details we just shared already in there for you if you just want to add that calendar to your Google. Okay, I'm done now. Let's talk about Sara Jessee.
That was a justified interruption.
Yes.
I'm good with that. So Sara Jessee, obviously you know Sara because she works in your building. She's a 7th grade reading, writing, right? She's a
7th grade reading teacher at Lit and Comp.
Reading teacher. Also the leader of the drama club as well, which we talk a little bit about. Super. So this is one I almost said it, but then she kept going. And I just got into what she actually said, and I forgot to make this comment. But when she starts talking about what she does and how she feels about it and stuff, all I could think of is all the times that you talk about like how someone's positivity or passion oozes through the speakers. I'm like, oh, like totally oozing right now. She is so passionate about what she does and the impact that it has. I really enjoyed that. That right off the bat, I just got excited about it. And I'm not usually someone who gets excited about reading, right? Or, writing and reading and thinking anything like that, or drama club or anything. And I was so in, and she did that very, very quickly. So
well, and I couldn't agree more. And it's funny for people that know my story. I taught somewhere else my first year teaching, and was really excited to work at Evans, which is where I met Sara. But my goal of being at Evans was because it was full of these like progressive and passionate educators. Sara was one of them. I was so excited to work and learn from her, and I'm so thrilled we finally got her on the podcast.
Yes, because she was there before. She's been there for about 10 years now. She said, 16 years teaching. So a lot of experience here, a lot of knowledge, a lot of passion, and it all comes through in this episode. So make sure you listen all the way through. Make sure you connect with Sara and continue to learn and grow with her. So let's just jump into it. This is episode 257 with Sara Jessee.
Hey, what's up, podcast? It's Jeff. Don't worry, I'm going to get you right back in the episode, but I want to make sure that you are aware of our brand new series going on right now, and that is our Building a Grid live series. This is every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Chad Ostrowski, creator of the Grid Method, is going to be going live with a different educator and building a mastered grid. This is one of my favorite things to do, is watching Chad work with an educator to unlock that creativity and create these grids. We have educators from all over the country coming in that are in math, science, reading, social studies, writing, art, PE, and even an admin coming in to show on the support side. The series runs from right now all the way until April 13th. That's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Stream it on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Twitch. Building a Grid live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it. Now let's get back to the episode.
All right, we are here and we are chatting with Sara Jessee. And Sara, we are already having a good time. We're already laughing. We're already goofing around. And so this is set up really well to be a great episode. So I'm super excited to have you on. I know that you've been connected with Ray for a long time, so I'm sure there's some stuff we can talk about there. But I'm excited to learn more about you, to dive into your story and to share it with others. But before we get too far into all of that, how are you feeling right now?
I feel fabulous. It is 7:00 on a Monday night. I've got some students coming back tomorrow after spring break, so very refreshed and excited.
Sara, I am so stinking excited. I feel like for me, I'm crossing something off the bucket list that we got you on Teach Better Talk podcast. I just have to let our listeners know, get ready for this episode. Sara is so humble, but she does so much as a leader in the school that I am so lucky to work in. And Sara, I've learned so much from you. So I can't wait to get to these questions. Before we get into all the fun details and all the stories I know you're going to be able to share, I kind of would love to have you share a little about yourself, kind of answering that age-old question of like, hey, Sara, like, what do you do?
Oh, good question. No wonder it's age-old. Well, I am a mother. I have 2 darling children and a puppy, and I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for, I counted it up before answering this question, 16 years, 15 of which are being a middle school teacher. And I think that's a really important specific, because I think middle school is exactly where I belong in the like wacky middle section of learning. I teach 7th grade lit and comp at Evans Junior High in Bloomington, Illinois, and I've been there for 10 years. I love reading and writing. I've always loved reading and writing. I'm like a forever nerd of books and words. I had a professor in college who said that without the work we do as reading and writing teachers, democracy could not function. And that has always stuck with me because it's enormous pressure. But it just makes it feel like what we do, connecting kids to words and language and books and their voice, is so valuable and important. And I just always want that to be a big part of what I do and who I am in the classroom. But it's not all high pressure and high stakes. I love to have fun with the kids. I'm a drama director, and that's also a huge part of who I am, and like being with students and interacting with them and seeing them like light up and come to life on the stage and do creative, fun, wacky things in a time where it's kind of hard to be wacky and fun as a middle school student. But getting to see the kids do that and light up in class and on the stage are all a big part of who I am as an educator.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, I have loved the things that you've done with drama. Jeff, when I say middle school play, what's like your first thoughts? Just tell me.
Be honest.
Peter Pan.
What did you say?
I don't know why, but it's Peter Pan.
Peter
Wires.
Pan. Would you think
dangling from wires?
Yeah, just like, which I don't know. Yeah. Is that weird? I don't know. Is that weird? Like that? I'm imagining.
It's the only play I do. I don't know so why. That makes perfect sense.
Well, the crazy thing is, I'm pretty sure in middle school, like we never did Peter Pan or anything, so I don't even know why that's what pops in my head.
I do have to say, like, you might be thinking Peter Pan, but are you picturing like Broadway, like greatest play ever, or
no,
when you say middle school, like not so good?
Well, I'm picturing my play in middle school, which I'm pretty sure we weren't even like necessarily on a stage. Yeah, I'm not picturing much.
Okay.
Cardboard stuff with some markers.
There we go. Cardboard stuff and markers. Okay, I just have to give everyone a fair warning. Put Evan's drama show like on your calendar. It's worth the drive to Bloomington, Illinois. It's that good. Sarah, you've done so much with that. And I love that, I don't know, most of them, all of them, you've written, adapted. Can you tell us a little about that? I just have to get into it before we get into these questions.
For sure. Well, let me first say it's all the talented students. I don't know how Evans got all the talent, but we somehow did, and the amazing students have brought it all to life. We write most of the shows starting from like the kids in a writers group who have crazy ideas that they want to get on paper and on the stage. And then so we have a little writers club, and then we turn it into a full script, like a full hour and a half long show usually, of just all kinds of different things that the kids put together. And I, have a little hand in. And then we go from page to stage. Then we just practice and rehearse and act and make sets and put costumes together. And they're amazing. The kids are just always so amazing. It's such a special group that does drama in middle school.
So, Sarah, how has that been with the last year, with the pandemic and closures and hybrid and back and forth? How have you adapted that side of your of that role of yours to this kind of new world that we've been in that's been so inconsistent?
That is a great question. It's something that's been on my mind so much because I know a lot of people have really figured out creative ways to do it. We, at the very beginning of the year, actually it was this summer, I think, I had some students kind of get started preparing to make these dorky little videos about how to wash your hands and how to wear a mask and how like wearing a mask is actually great because it covers up zits and if you have Oreos in your teeth. So I had some drama kids get together in like September and make those videos with us. And that's kind of all we've done as a drama club this year is I've just kind of used them to help me create some things for this school. But other than that, it has been really hard. And we've been like, it's kind of left this hole because we need this creative outlet, but we don't have it right now. So it is hard this year to not have it.
But I still think, you kind of, I don't want to say downplay, but I feel like you kind of downplay because I think you took what the world that we're in and embedded their creativity and their like what you do in drama into how you could into it, right? And brought into a real life situation of making sort of PSAs and having some fun with it about what a max covers up. So I think that's actually pretty cool. I mean, obviously it's been that's one of those things that's been really, really tough is some of those classes that are considered extra or secondary or whatever you might call them, depending on the district you're in and stuff, but to find a way to connect it to what's happening, I think is really cool. So,
and doing it after we've really been we had been homebound for months when school was first coming back in August. So the kids were so thrilled when I reached out to them and said, do you just want to spend some time virtually together to make a video? And they were like, oh my gosh, please let me be around anyone other than my own family for 5 minutes.
I love it.
So it was a great outlet.
And Jeff, you've always wondered what to do when you have Oreos in your teeth. Isn't that a major concern? Like, this video would have been so helpful for you.
I actually, Ray, cookies are one of the things I cut out. And that's actually, I say it's because I'm trying to eat better, but it's because I was like, what do I do when I have Oreos in my teeth? And I couldn't figure it out. So I just stopped. Yeah, who knew? Well, I just need to put a mask on.
You just needed to connect with Sara Jessee.
I could have made you a video about that years ago. But.
Well, so Sarah, I want to jump now into one of my favorite questions, and this is talking through a story, and you share a story about a time that you've had a failure and how you had to overcome that. So kind of take us there with you. Share a story with us about a time you had a failure. Take us there with you and tell us what happened. How did you overcome that, and what did you pull away from that experience?
Well, I can vividly picture myself on the floor of my classroom surrounded by hundreds of ballots with my brain exploding, trying to put together lit circles for the first time, which was maybe 10 years ago or so, getting 150 kids into reading groups that were exactly right. And I tried to control it completely down to the letter, and every kid filled out a ballot about all these books that I had picked. And then I tried to just take all these pieces and make it fit. And it was just this insanely complicated puzzle that was not only unnecessary for me to make it that difficult for myself, because it was just this hours long process of trying to just piece it together, but it took so much control and autonomy out of the students' hands that by the time I did all this work and I did all the front loading and all the choosing, I had, kind of robbed them of this really positive experience where they could have interacted and talked and chosen. So that was just a hot mess completely, trying to do it that way. And I had a co-teacher that I worked with that the next year was like, hey, let's just throw out 40 books on the tables and be like, kids, read, look at the books and make some groups. And that freaked me out. The idea of having all these books I'd never read and having the kids just choose their groups. Oh my goodness, what would happen if they made the choice themselves? But I did it. I made a little binder that said off-roading with lit circles with a very dorky picture of a Jeep driving on books. And it was amazing. The switch from having done this very controlling, limited selection to just giving the kids all these choices and the choice to be with who they wanted to read with so that they were comfortable to read books they were the most interested in, even if maybe I hadn't read them or I wouldn't have chosen that for their reading level. It just completely opened it up. So going from that big failure of me on the floor of my classroom with thousands of papers around me to kids just choosing and talking was ended up being a big win from a big mess in the first place.
Oh, that sounds like such a big, obviously it started with a failure, but such a big success of where you've gotten. I've had the pleasure of being in your classroom. I've been able to sub in your classroom before. I've just loved seeing the work that you do. And I think that finding the balance of giving students the ability to make such important choices and have such a voice in the classroom is really hard for educators to give up that control. And I have to tell you, I've learned so stinking much watching you perfect that balance, because while you do allow your students to have voice and choice in so many dynamic ways in your classroom, you also have implemented classroom management strategies to help you in facilitating those discussions. Like I just vividly remember being in your classroom with all the timers of the Lit Circle books.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember you were in there. It's like they're mingling at a dinner party or they're like speed dating or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But those supports for an educator to say, okay, I'm willing to give up control as long as I can also put in classroom management to ensure success. Like that is something I encourage everybody to reach out to you about, because I just feel like you have all these little strategies that seem so simple, guys. Like, come on, we can all set a timer, but little strategies that really allow your students to have so much freedom, which is extremely valuable in a 7th grade reading class. Mm-hmm. So stinking cool.
And the students come up with little strategies too. Like the one kid came up with having all these extra timers that like kind of taper down. It was like, they're amazing how when the process belongs to them, they come up with ways to make it better and to improve it and to make it like their own and make it creative and really effective.
Well, and Jeff, we find that all the time, like student ownership when we're working with mastery learning, students taking ownership over the work they're doing is such an important shift to happen in classrooms. And it's great to see that happening in other classrooms that are using different strategies to make that happen. It's so, so interesting to watch. You know, when it comes to kind of like your motivation, the thing that like fuels your fire, what's really keeping you excited about education right now, I'm so excited to know. What would that be for you? What's really keeping you excited about all that you're involved in?
I think right now, very specifically right now with the remote learning and the hybrid learning and everything, as really hard as this year has been, it's got this kind of energy with not only like the colleagues and the people, like, you know, like the teachers that we're working with being so helpful and kind and energetic and like positive with each other, but being able to just invent everything is so exciting this year. With remote learning at the very beginning, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be on a computer with kids. What can I do? Because obviously I've never done it before. So while it's really difficult to invent absolutely everything, it's also kind of freeing and kind of exciting to think, oh my gosh, what can I do since I'm on a computer with the kids, from like taking them on a little field trip to different places around the building at the beginning of the year, to coming up with weird little activities like, okay, run to a room in your house and find an object that represents a character. Things that I would just never have done before it's exciting to bring new ideas in, and every idea has to be new. So it's kind of like being forced to be creative and inventive. And when you've been teaching for a bajillion years, it's not always like new and inventive and creative all the time. And this year is just kind of forced that. And since no one's ever done it before, it's not being compared against anything. Everything's a risk. So it's almost like it's not a risk because we have to just make up new stuff. And if it doesn't work, we just try something new. So there is just this kind of fun energy to this year of doing new things every single day.
Oh my gosh. And your perspective of that fun energy, I think, is one of the many reasons why I not only love working with you, but why I think it's so valuable for you to share as many stories as possible with people outside of our little like small town bubble. Because a lot of educators, I know us included, like we've all found struggles this year, right? Like, oh my gosh, this school year has been harder than ever. But to be able to surround yourself with colleagues and friends that share this positive solution seeking, let's just dive in and try something fun mentality, it kind of changes the environment of risk taking. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just hearing what people are trying, and it almost makes it feel like a low pressure situation when really it's like it starts out just everything feels like high pressure. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I don't know how to do this. But then it just becomes like, well, no one does. So we can all just freely try new things and share ideas with people. And it just kind of just opens it up to being this creative thing instead of a scary thing.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. But you said the phrase like using freedom, like you really do have this sense of freedom that as we continue to problem solve. I mean, just this week, our school that you and I work in is changing their plan again of students being in the building. And so it is this mindset of like, yes, things are still changing, but now we have the freedom to try something new. And I I just really appreciate that you carry that approach, because on the hard days, all you have to do is pop into your room and it's like, okay, fine, I'm back on track. So Sarah, I think this is really tricky because I can only imagine the piece of advice that you're going to share in this episode, but I'd love for you to identify one piece of advice that you want teachers to truly sit with and consider, not only this year, but, as they continue to develop.
Well, I think this was a really hard thing for me to learn myself, but to freely fail and struggle in front of students, I think is so important. And to not be afraid to be wrong and just let students see you struggle with things, whether it's like you're writing notes and you don't know how to spell a word, or you have a struggle with technology, or they ask a question and you actually don't know the answer. And instead of making students think that, knowledge is just automatic for adults, or that learning has stopped and you know everything, to really just open yourself up to show some vulnerability to students and say, you know what, I don't know that. Let's find out. Or can anybody help me with this? I'm trying to set up this technology. Because then kids not only get to see that it's okay to struggle and it's okay to fail, but struggling is where learning happens. So we model things for students all the time, but if you struggle in front of them, then you're modeling the actual practice of learning something, because you don't know it. And then they see you have to figure it out, and what you do and what your process is to learn something new, and how you react to failing or how you react to being confused. And when I've, tried to work through writing something with kids and I struggle and I tell them, oh, I'm not sure what word to use here, then they really just get to see that that's how everyone is learning, and it's okay to be learning, and it's good to struggle because that's where your learning happens. But it is kind of scary as a young teacher to ever be in a position to say, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer to this, but it really is, it's more than okay. It's good for the kids to see that.
Oh, I love that so much. It's one of my favorite things to do with my own kids is when they ask me a question to say, I don't know, let's go figure that out. Or, I don't know, how do you think we can figure that out, right? And when you nailed it, and that's why I love it, is because I'm not only showing them that it's okay, because daddy doesn't know everything either, but also, all right, how would we figure that out? And then we try, and then I share with how my thought process is. Like, it's such a great time. You said, when you said, we're not only modeling that it's okay to not know, we're modeling how we then go, how we handle it, and how we go figure it out. I love that. That's just awesome. Awesome advice. Let's keep it going. Keep having some fun here. I'm going to throw these questions at you. Your goal, the next 6 questions, is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready?
Yes, ready.
All right. What is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
Totally love Flipgrid. It is my bread and butter this year. It is so useful.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
This year, my goal is to read all YA books that feature people of color as protagonists. So I've got 2 awesome ones. I'm reading Punching the Air by Ibi Zoboi and Yusef Salaam. It is brilliant. And Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga are both amazing.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
I am not a social media person, but somebody that I could listen to and learn from every single day, all day, is Dr. Shemaine Bertrand.
Ooh, part of our speakers network.
I agree. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, we love her, guys. If you're not connected to Shemaine, please go do that.
Amazing.
What's a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast for educators to check out?
It's really simple, but this year I feel like especially to get something like immediate and approachable for kids to be exposed to nonfiction and current events. I use Newsella all the time to get stuff like, oh, right now I need to find something that you can read. That has just been so useful for me.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
I think celebrating positives should be a part of the routine, whether it's every week emailing parents a positive note, or every month celebrating like positive things kids are doing. Just like making positives and wins an important thing to recognize routinely, I think is really important.
And give us the best piece of advice you've ever received.
Well, before coming on, my husband said to watch my corny jokes, but other than that advice, I had a person in college, somebody who ran a drama group I was a part of, said, we're human beings, not human doings. And I just always remembered that, like the idea that it's okay to just be sometimes, and you don't always have to do. So we're human beings, not human doings.
Oh,
that's kind of deep. I like that.
Love that.
Yeah.
And such a good reminder to give us permission to also like just not be running all the time and doing tasks, but truly to sit and relax and enjoy. And I love that. That's definitely trophy worthy, Jeff.
Absolutely agreed.
We are going to ship you the Teach Better Talk trophy, Sarah. Jeff mails it in a really big box, so just keep your eyes peeled.
Ooh, we'll have a hard time finding it amidst all my Amazon orders, but I will keep an eye.
It's okay. It gives me a great excuse for it not showing up when Ray forgets to ship it.
You know, Sarah, I have loved having you on this episode. I really wasn't kidding when I saw that we were recording with you. I just was like over the moon. It really was a bucket list for me to get you on this podcast because I truly, truly believe there are so many good educators out there that we all need to go connect with to be better. But for me personally, you have made me so much better as a person, as an educator in just 1,000 different ways. And I know you're not active on social media, but I'd love for you to share out any way people can connect with you so they can continue to get tips and tricks and ask questions and further this relationship by listening to your amazing story on the podcast.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Well, my email is always a place where I can connect with people, even though I'm not on social media. So I'd be happy to share my email.
That'd be perfect.
Do you want me just to say it right now?
Yeah. Do you mind just going through it? And then we'll also have it in the show notes, guys.
Oh, for sure. It's Jessee, and Jessee is JESSEESJ at unit5.org.
There you go.
You can find all the links and resources and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as the really important link, getting that email. Make sure you can connect with Sarah and keep this conversation going with her. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's take this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators, and just share this podcast with them. Sarah, this was awesome. I'm so happy that you can join us. It was so fun getting to know you. And I got to tell you, you lived up to the hype. There was a lot of hype. Ray had a lot of hype, but you lived up for it. I dare say you even exceeded it. It was really fun. I'm so excited to be able to hear this and connect with you and keep learning and growing with you. Thank you so much for taking some time and hanging out with us.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. Talking to both of you is just such a highlight. Thank you. It was wonderful to be here talking with you both.